This week's video was created thanks to your support, my dear viewers. With the help of your donations to Patreon or any other possible or impossible money collection system, we are able to create the content we want and not to obey the whims of sponsors or the algorithm. By donating to me on Patreon, you'll get your name in the titles as well as the ability to directly influence our content with the help of polls and direct commentaries as well as access to the Patreon exclusive content like articles or drawings to our other projects. Here's to another calm year without annoying ads on this channel. Was this slow enough, elves? Apparently, some of you liked me yelling at the rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles so much that you wanted me to ramble on some other Western cartoons, and here we are. And I'm not just remembering that piece of shit without a reason, mind you, for it and the current DuckTales remake/reboot are pretty much of the same flock if you boil it down to basics. It's a remake of an old and venerated property, it's made in a span between 2016 and 2019, its main selling point is that they're massively redoing all the characters from having few visual identifiers to being pretty much visually distinct from one another. Their art style isn't CalArts, you know, that style all the new cartoons use where everyone's got mouths shaped like beans, but it's also not exactly new either. It's like a weird mash between those old Canadian cartoons from 2000s, like, you know, Total Drama or Johnny Test, and old Nickelodeon shows like Angry Beavers. You'll have to forgive me for this lack of precision when it comes to explaining this all. North American cartoon industry differs from Japanese in that barring few big studios, most collective buzz surrounds names of individual creators, not the studios that made them, and because of this I tend to effectively lump all American children-oriented shows into four types. Live action, ugly as shit adult cartoons, ugly as shit children's cartoons, not ugly children's cartoons. So, DuckTales 2017 is a Disney-sponsored reboot of DuckTales 1987, which was generally fairly well met and ran for about as long as the original series did. The biggest and most interesting thing I've noticed while doing research about this show was that apparently the two people responsible for this were fans of the old show, and they went into this project specifically to make an updated version for the new generation, which, depending on how involved you are in this whole culture war business, will either make you intrigued or make you roll your eyes like a malfunctioning AC unit. As you can probably notice, I'm trying my best to not talk about the actual show, but it's not because it's shit, rather because it really is DuckTales made for fans for a more modern generation in every single aspect. For better or worse. This is the DuckTales made for people who had the hindsight of not only stuff like Gravity Falls, SpongeBob, and other shows, but also the whole classical Disney universe with all of its millions of various media across time, and for a lack of a better term, the soul of the Donald Duck stories is really well preserved. However, this is DuckTales made for modern generation of people with modern sense of humor, which I always despised. Allow me to quote a joke for the very first episode. "It takes a so rich and so Scottish, but I'm ready to kill McDuck! Killed! Is this what you young people consider to be funny these days? Because I don't really understand what exactly is supposed to be funny in that exact joke, or is talking in a funny accent is supposed to be funny. And that's my issue with practically most attempts at humor of the show. This is, how to put it, I don't understand what exactly they were going for here, because it's not ridiculous enough to be seen as stupid funny, but it's not serious enough for the ridiculous moments to not be really fucking dumb. So it's in this sort of weird limbo of blench where nothing lands right. Nothing at all. And I shouldn't feel this much second-hand embarrassment as I do when watching this. On the other hand, the characters are fairly well made in the show. It does manage to hold that line of both being fairly well presented to people who never heard of or have forgotten most of the old DuckTales, but also gives a bone to the old guard here and there. At the very least, one has to agree that Huey, Dewey, and Louie are better represented than the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that's for sure. I personally also like the changes they've made to Abby Vanderquack. They are admittedly a sign of a modern era, with basically turning every girl protagonist into an ADHD person with communication issues. And that's kinda about it, really. Modern jokes and changes aside, plus as far as these 20 episodes are concerned, the soul of the old DuckTales is fairly well preserved, and that pretty much sums up my entire opinion on the show. If it was on the telly, I'd probably watch it, unless there was a show about ice creams or something.